Welcome to the George Mason Show, everybody. God bless you. Alexa, off. And that's my sidekick there. That's Alexa. She's a lifesaver for me, and it's all good. And I'm happy tonight to have a pro, a veteran, thespian, comedian, writer, actor. He's done it all. He does it all. He's you're going to tell us about his into the business, and we have history as well. And we used to work together some years ago at the Joe Franklin's Comedy Club down on 7th Avenue. Before I get into that, I just want let me show you a little something first and foremost. Let me show you. He's a vet. He's a pro. He's a funny man. He's very talented, and it was interesting when I seen him. There he is. It's Bob Greenberg, and that young man on him, Jim Carrey, huh? Yes, indeed. But, yeah. I hadn't seen Bob in a minute, and I was in 42nd Street. I was coming from the audition set, and he was coming on his way to a show. And when I lived in Manhattan, that's the way it was. You normally see or generally see somebody in the sub somewhere coming from a show on their way to a show, that kind of thing. So I remember it. And at first, I didn't know who it was. I wasn't sure if that was Chris Christie or if it was Bobby. Yeah. But I called out Mr. Christie, and he didn't answer. Hey, Bob, and he won. So and he's a good man as well. And I'm gonna just show you some other pictures before we bring them out, because we got a lot going on here in the city. I'm in New York, based out of New York City. We have the mayor's contest, and there's a lot of controversy with that. Cuomo's coming back. He got so many. He's the front runner so far. They want Curtis Sleever, who's on the Republican ticket, to get out. And I'll ask Bobby what he feels about that when I bring him out. And let's see room now. Kim Roper, God bless you, Kim. Welcome. Kim Roper's in the house, in the room. God bless you, Kim. Good to see you, as always. And just showing some. A lot of people might know who this man is, this comedian here. He's old school. Scat here. Fan of him. It's Pat Cooper. Pat is a funny man. Funny man. I worked years ago in Waterbury, Connecticut with another great Italian comedian called Lou Baccarat. And he was reminds me a lot of Pat Cooper, very similar styles. They do the insult comedian hard. They go strong, they go hard. But, I worked with Soupy, I worked with Frank Gorshin, I worked with the Mole Cats back in the day, and Bob was on the Borscht Belt. He talked about it. And I just wanted to give you a little background into who he is and what he does before he comes out and tells us who he is and what he does. His history is he's in the theater. Shout out to him in the theater. But you know what? Me rambling and on before. Let's just bring him out now. Let's just get the show started.
George.
Bob Greenberg, huh? Here we go.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
How you doing?
Here all week. Thank you. George, I'm
there you go.
not Chris,
yeah.
I'm not Chris Christie. I'm Chris Christie's personal trainer. I got the wash tub app.
Okay.
Thank you. I guess that's canned laughter, isn't it? Is somebody on the
because I looked. Yeah, we have a studio. I have a small studio audience, and they respond. There they go.
They sound very small.
Okay.
How are you, George?
I'm good, Bob. I'm hanging there. Yeah, everything is blessed. So I can't complain about anything. And only thing
Good,
I
good.
miss Manhattan. Yeah, I'm out
Where are
here
you?
and I'm
Wait, I
in
thought you were in
far
New York City.
Rockaway, Queens.
Oh, you're in Rockaway.
I'm in New York, far Rock, well, it's Long Island, far Rockaway. I'm
So
closer
is that the
to
A train? You
Peterhurst,
take the A train? Are
all
you on the
the
E?
way out. Last stop. That's right. Yeah, yeah. You know it.
I worked
Yeah.
a temple show, a daytime show out in the Rockaway, and there's like two trains that go to the Rockaways. One goes to one area of the Rockaway, is that right? And then there's another
You
area
got
of the
that's right.
Rockaway. I don't
Rockaway
know.
Park,
I got a
far
little lost,
Rockaway. That's
but
where I'm at.
yes.
And then Rockaway, confusing.
Yeah,
Rockaway
I
Park,
made
it
it
takes
though.
you to 96, where
Yes,
Playland used to be, over that way.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, yes.
Hey,
Wow.
Karen. Karen is in the house. Hi, Karen. Karen says hello. Karen Roper says hello to you,
Hey,
Bobby.
Karen, how are
Karen
you?
is out. She's in Wisconsin. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Karen is yeah. She was the result behind the Aaron Rodgers thing when he first came.
Oh, really?
Behind that.
I did not know
Yeah,
that.
so I don't know if we can trust Karen. She's not that she's Karen.
Is Karen
Karen,
a
they
Karen?
say Karen.
Is Karen a Karen?
She can be.
Oh,
She can be. You have to watch her.
but
She's
is
a
she
Karen.
Karen?
She can
Is
be a
she
Karen.
Karen? As long as she cares, that's the important.
She can be.
Okay.
Yeah, no, well, she can't, but yeah, she's Milwaukee. I'm learning a lot
You
about
have,
these is Wisconsin.
so you have
Just
somebody
laughing
from
out loud for
Wisconsin
whatever's
watching. My brother couldn't figure out how to catch this show, and he lives in Wanto, Long Island. So I'm glad Karen's up there. She's smart. She's in.
Yeah, but we were talking about the thing. Just Googling George
it's
Mason
all right.
Comedy
Yeah,
and that
people get confused.
yeah, but I mean, yeah, but you know what? That's up as well. As archives, you can go to that on the profile. And I don't promote enough to say like and share and all of that stuff, but
Well,
it does
I
help.
caught you last night. I was at a rehearsal. I belong to a theatrical club called the Lambs, and we're doing what's called a gamble. It's like a fundraiser show. So I was at rehearsal, and just at some point I turned on my phone to Facebook, and there you were live promoting tonight's show. I saw my picture, and you were talking and stuff. So that was fun. Now, I didn't do anything. It was just there.
It just came on. Yeah. So
in my feed, I
we
guess
catch a lot like that. We get a lot on the back end as well.
Yeah.
Because we had a lot of interesting people when we were at Joe Franklin's years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Some funny people.
Jackie Mason,
Howard Fella.
Oh, Howie Fella, sure.
Jackie came through. No, Jackie Mason came up, and Jackie Martin came in one night as well.
Oh yeah.
The joke man from Howard Stern.
Joe was a great guy. You were talking about Joe. I used to answer the phone for Joe sometimes. If I was in his office, he'd say, Bobby, answer the phone. And so I pick up the phone. I say, Joe Franklin's office. And it would be so-and-so. And they say, can I speak to Joe? And I go, Joe, it's so-and-so. And Joe would say, tell him to call me back Thursday, 3 p.m. I'll have some good news. So I would go, good news. Yeah, call him on Thursday at 3 p.m. Joe says he'll have some good news, So that was his shtick. But if you went to his office, he had an office. I think the address was 300 West 43rd Street. I think that's what it was. There's a
right
new
on
building.
The corner. Yeah, right
there's
there.
a new building now. It's not there anymore, unfortunately, his office. But Joe's not around either, so it doesn't matter. But if you went into his office, which was what do they call that? Hoarders. I mean, like that Hoarders show. I mean, he had stuff piled up. He had unbelievable, memorabilia, films, 2-inch tape.
The office went all the way back, though.
Well, you could. You had to back. You had to walk around stuff, and then he had his desk on like a stage. You remember? He had his desk on a stage, and he had a couch facing him. It was like a talk show. and he sat on his he sat behind his desk with, I think, a red phone and a black phone, like he was the president, in 1964. The red, well, Batman, the red phone, the black phone, and people sat on the couch. And I remember going into his office, and there was a guy there. He looked like a pimp. There was somebody there looked like, I don't know, they collect spit or something. I don't know. There were all these characters. It was like you walked into his show, but it was his office. And he said, Bob Greenberg, do your Jackie Gleason impression. This is Bob Greenberg. Do your Jackie. And I've been performing for these people who were just sitting there. It was very strange. But he was a wonderful guy. I mean, he's the New York that I love. He's from that, he's like the Damon, like post Damon Runyon. You know what I mean? Like that type of character. Sweet smell of success. He's old. He was old showbiz.
He was old showbiz. You know what was interesting? You never knew to be in that office because he had people sometimes. There was connections there. He'd connect you up with, this guy, whatever. He might not look like anything, but this, could make things happen. It's up to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was like that.
He was good.
And I did his show like 6 times. When he was in,
yes,
I
did
that
the
for
show.
one time. Yeah, he was in people.
I did it twice, I think, in Secaucus. I remember. Yeah. I think I did it the last week. I think the mayor. He was great. You'd be sitting on his TV show. You'd be sitting on the couch, and he'd have Hitler's grandson sitting there, and somebody who wrote a book about doilies or something. And, he'd say, Bob Greenberg, what do you think of Hitler? What do you think of Hitler?
And then
these questions, like, I didn't care for him. I'm sorry. But then he would say, Bob, do your bit. Do your,
and one thing about
Costello bit, you would just do it sitting in the couch. And the funniest thing was if a singer was on the show, they'd be sitting in the chair, right? And the singer wouldn't sing. They'd play a record of the singer singing. Do you remember this, George? And everybody would kind of like look like, okay, we're listening. It was very strange.
It was strange. But he was one of a kind. I think, did he the talk show genre?
Yeah,
I know you had like the Smiling, those guys.
Yeah, I think he was the first. He's credited as being the first talk show host where he would have somebody on and he would talk to them on local television.
The longest running.
I think he
did like 50-something years.
Yeah, I don't think he created the couch. I think that might have been Jack Parr who got the couch with people
Jack
on
Parr.
it. Yeah,
Before
but
Johnny.
Yeah. It was. I think it was Steve Allen, Jack Parr, and Johnny for the Tonight Show. But I think it was Jack Parr who created the couch element of it, of having people sit and move down and then talking to them and stuff. But Joe may have had the first, at least, talk show in New York where somebody would come and sit. And sometimes he would show old time movies. He loved old movies and old songs. And he would show a movie, and he'd have Buster Keaton on or somebody, and they'd talk about it. He got great guests, even in our time. I remember Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby. Well,
I was just going to say
don't like to say Bill. Bill Cosby used to go on his show. Tony Curtis.
Tony Curtis.
Bing Crosby Allen. Wouldn't do anybody else. But Bing Crosby wouldn't do anybody else's show for some reason. He wouldn't do like the Tonight Show for some reason, but he would do the Joe Franklin show, and he'd bring his wife and his kids, and they'd sit there, and they would like talk for an hour. So it was interesting, the loyalty he had from a lot of his guests.
Yeah, old Hollywood connected in, and he was so approachable and so down to earth.
Yeah, he also introduced the world to like Bette Midler and Barbara Streisand. I think he may have been the first one to have them on his show. He had also, I think, a
Woody
radio
Allen
show before he had a TV show. Yeah, he had a lot of great guys and gals. Yeah. And
welcome Eddie P on to the He's from Florida, but he's in New York now.
Mary Ann, Florida. Yeah.
Close friend, Marianna, Florida. Yeah,
Marianna.
And also Ray Merriman. Ray is partners with his wife, Lady Miz. Have a podcast called From the Ground Up Productions. They have a production company, a publishing company. Very active and very talented as well. Welcome, Ray. We call him the Silent Assassin. Yes. So welcome to the show. And so it's interesting. Really, admire Joe. I did. And he talked to everybody. He was approached me. He could open his office, walk in.
He was like well over 4 feet tall. He was very short, and he had a big head. He was almost like a cartoon. He looked like a cartoon. He looked like
well, you ever see the character that they did? That they drew. Was just the character.
Drew Friedman drew him a few times, and the character on his card too. Yeah, he had this big head and this little body. And he was like a bobblehead, like a human bobblehead, but the sweetest guy. And like, I'd have an audition or something, and I'd walk into his office and I would tell him about. He said, "What's happening? What are you doing, Bobby?" And I tell him, and he said, "You're going to get this one. This is your year, Bobby. This is your." And he really believed it. He was a very positive person, and he really loved showbiz. The only thing is, he'd fall asleep at people's shows. He was very famous for this. And I was doing The Jazz Singer at the Metropolitan Playhouse. They brought The Jazz Singer back. And he sits in his chair, and a friend of mine was sitting next to him, and he just dozes. He falls right to sleep as soon as the show starts. So every time I came on, I played a couple of different characters. My friend would elbow him and wake him up, and he would see me, and then he'd fall back to sleep. So the next day, he calls me. He says, "Bobby, I loved you in The Jazz Singer. You were terrific. But I have to tell you, Bobby, I have a habit of falling asleep when I go to these shows." And I said, "Yeah, I heard Joe. But I caught your performance. You have that loud, booming voice. So I was awake for your all your scenes." And I said, "Yes, I'm aware. Yeah." But what I have the guy who plays the cantor in it, the father of the main character. He's coming over today, and I don't remember the end of the play. Bobby, can you tell me what happens at the end of the play? Now this is The Jazz Singer. This is the famous play that became the movie with Al Jolson, the famous talkie, The Jazz Singer. It was remade with Danny Thomas, Jerry Lewis, and Neil Diamond. So many. And so Joe does not know what happens at the end of The Jazz Singer. I go, "Joe, you don't know what happens at the end of The Jazz Singer? It's always the same, whether you see it by production or no. Tell me, Bobby, what happens?" And I just couldn't resist this, Joe.
He really didn't know.
I said, "Joe,
really that's too
come on." I said, "Joe, we all die. We all die in the end." "No, Bobby." They go, "Bobby, please, Bobby, please." I think I finally told him, but I will tell you this: in the Al Jolson movie, he this is a spoiler alert. The Jazz Singer is about the son of a cantor. That's someone who sings in the temple, in the shul. Very important during the high holy days to sing Kol Nidre and things like that. And he's destined to become the next cantor in the next generation of cantors. There's like 5 generations of the family. But he's a jazz singer. He wants to sing jazz, the modern music. And he runs away from home, becomes a big star. Then he comes back home to star on Broadway. And of course, his play, his opening night, is on Yom Kippur, the high holy day, the highest of the holy days. And at the same time, his father is sick and dying.
Yeah.
Right. And they want him to sing in the temple, to fill in for his father. Because there's no other cantors in New York City. It has to be this guy, And that's the thing. So what does he do? Does he not perform on opening night and jinx himself on Broadway? Or does he sing in the shul and make his mother and everybody else in the community happy. So there's a whole to do. So in the movie with Al Jolson, he does not open in the show. They can't seem to open. They have to postpone the show, close the show because he's not in it. I don't know. He didn't have an understudy. We won't go into that concept anyway. So and he sings in the shul, and the father hears his son singing and dies. Okay, fine. But then there's like a subtitle because the film's a part talkie, saying, seasons come and seasons go, and everything works out in the end. And then you see him starring on Broadway, and of course his mother and his the character named Yudelson the Kibbutzer is sitting next to her, and they're enjoying him singing Mammy, on the stage. So he gets to sing in the shul and be a Broadway star. But in the play, basically, he becomes a cantor, and that's the end. So I guess you could argue what happens at the end, but that's the original play. But anyway, the fact that Joe was begging me to tell him what happened at the end of the Jazz Singer, to this day, it makes me laugh. It just makes me laugh. I wouldn't tell him. I wouldn't tell him. Mr. Nostalgia.
And you know what? That's a great story. Bob, you do a lot of characters.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And you're an impressionist. And,
yeah.
No, go ahead.
What'd you say?
No, I was saying that. I was saying you impressionist. You do a lot of voices, and you act, you write. What do you find, more comfortable for you? What do you enjoy? First of all, how long been doing it?
Too long. No, I think I started. I was a late bloomer, pretty much, because I went to art school. I went to the High School of Art and Design, and I was originally a cartoonist, but then I became a filmmaker, majored in film, and then I wound up going to the School of Visual Arts, where I was a film major, and I graduated with a BFA in film. Of course, all the film technique I learned back then is completely obsolete today. They don't need, a Nagra with sound. They don't need a magazine with film. They don't need, roll sound.
What do you think about AI?
They didn't have any of that.
AI. What do you think of
AI? I don't care for it, and it's a little scary. But I tell you, I mean, to me, it just looks fake, even when it's good. Someone sent me. They took Abbott and Costello, and they have them meet The Exorcist and whatnot, and it's all AI, and it's like them, but it's not them, and it's not human. You know what I mean? I mean, I can tell the difference. I mean, maybe there's some people that can't tell, but there's, I don't think AI can be funny, can be really funny. I mean, I guess it could tell old jokes, but I don't think it could be,
but there's no feel emotion. No, not funny.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about comedy is like this, right? Comedy is like, this is what's happening, and the comedian does this, and I don't know if AI knows how to do this correctly. You know what I mean? I don't think they can find the funny.
Yeah.
So I mean, they may be able to act, especially action movies, because they use a lot of CGI in action movies. I mean, in the old days with Buster Keaton, or Harold Lloyd, these guys would be, on the building, hanging off the building falling on that was really them. But today everything's done CGI. So you could have an action movie with AI, and I'd probably buy it. But, a couple of guys talking, doing Who's on First or something with AI, it's false. It's not real. It's not human. So I don't care for AI. So, what can I tell you? I like
Bob,
it.
You have your affiliations. SAG, you have SAG, AFTRA, and AL. Tell everybody what those what they mean.
Well,
what are they?
Well, I SAG all over. No, SAG is Screen Actors Guild, right? And AFTRA is the American Federation of Television. American Federation of Television. There's an RA. Radio. Oh, TV. No, it's the American Federation TV and Radio Artists. TV and radio. It used to be AFRA. Sounds like something you might have on your head, George, right? Afra. No, but then they added TV to it. And then Equity, or AEA, is Actors Equity Association, and that's the actors union. I tell you, when I was doing extra work many moons ago on a film called Last Exit to Brooklyn, and I was non-union at that time, and I learned the difference between union and non-union. It was a hot summer day in Red Hook, Brooklyn. Red Hook, Red Hook is nicer now. It wasn't nice then. It's a little nicer now. And we're shooting in the summertime, and we had a big tent, and it was approaching lunchtime, and they had a great spread of food. Oh, a wonderful spread of food inside the tent. And I went over to get something because I wasn't working. I figured, I'll get. Oh, are you union or non-union? I said, well, no, I'm non-union. She said, oh, well, your food's out there. And they had the same exact food, but out in the sun. So I said, wait a second. Wow. I said, why can't I just eat this? Why do I have to go? Well, because that's for non-union. I says, it's the same food. It's the same food, right? Yeah, but it's out in the sun and it's 99 degrees. I'm not going to eat chicken salad and sitting out in the sun. Well, that's for the night. Just because I'm non-union, I have to die. I have to, it was they had to make the non-union worse than the union because to, I guess, validate your dues. I don't know. That was the strangest.
They serve the same food. You know what I'm saying?
But it's in the sun.
The same food.
But it's in the sun.
The conditions, yeah.
I mean, why did they make a hole in the ground and have you climb a ladder down to that food? They wanted to make it less than the other one in some fashion. I will tell you, years later, I'm SAG. I was doing featured extra work on the Stepford Wives. Frank Oz, the famous Frank Oz, actually cast me, which was kind of cool. Anyway, they had something a little more civil. Same thing, tent. It's always a tent, when they shoot on location. And one side of the tent was SAG, and one side was non-SAG. So that's cool because we're both are under the tent. And so I'm SAG now, and I'm with the SAG. And Nicole Kidman comes in. Nicole Kidman was very focused on what she was doing. I assume she still is. And she's very white, by the way. And there were scenes outside, but she always had an assistant with a giant black umbrella. You ever see those giant black umbrellas over her so that she wouldn't get any pigmentation or sun or whatever? But anyway, so it's breakfast time, and she's thinking of her lines, and she makes a beeline to the non-SAG table. I don't know why. I think she wasn't thinking which is the correct table, And all these non-union actors, they kind of disperse because it's Nicole Kidman. I guess they're afraid, I don't know. And she goes over and she starts to make, she starts to make like a cereal. You know what I mean? They had like a almost like a druggist. They, you put the nuts and the raisins and like this, and you can pound it into a granola. And but she's in her mind. She's thinking of this thing, and she doesn't realize she's at the non-union table. I guess she knows what she's making her cereal. And we're all just sort of like looking at her. And I said to somebody, I didn't know Nicole Kidman was non-union. This is pretty interesting. But she's just in her own world. But it was the funniest thing. So I guess nobody went over and said, this Kidman, you shouldn't be here. You're at the non-SAG table, But God forbid one of the non-SAG.
What about her people, though? What about her people saying something?
What's that?
You would figure say something. You would figure her people would. She was running rogue. I think I don't know what was going on. It was really funny. It was really funny. I guess she was just thinking of her lines. Who's this, Bobby?
Oh.
Who's
Jessica
this?
Chastain.
Okay.
Terrific.
Wow. Yeah.
She looks.
You were doing something with her?
I wasn't doing anything. The wife's not here. No, I wasn't doing anything with her, but I went to a SAG screening of something she did. I can't recall what it was. She was in a Doll's House recently, and she's in so many movies, and she's she's fantastic, you know. And I just was speaking to her after a SAG event, and we took a picture.
Nice.
Jessica Chastain.
You see, Karen got your joke, right?
Oh,
you
Karen,
see, Karen got your joke. You SAG all over. I picked up on it too. SAG.
Oh,
you SAG,
okay.
SAG all over.
Karen, you're quicker than George, Karen. Okay, good.
And she thinks that anyway. Yeah. But
Karen, are you a big Jessica Chastain
Mm-hmm.
fan, Karen? Where does she respond? Over there. Oh, I see.
She does theater. She did, you know, on the other spectrum of community theater.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she's in the arts. She's a thespian, if you will. But
you did say thespian, right? You did say thespian. I know in the beginning I thought you introduced me as a lesbian. No, a thespian. A thespian, yes. Not that there's anything wrong with being a lesbian, mind you, but I happen to be a thespian, yes. But it's funny, easy. I just did Napoleon, a pig in Animal Farm. I just did that play just a couple of weeks ago, and that was wonderful. I was kind of like Trump, I guess you could say, but it was really great. And then just before I did that, about a month or so before that, I played a dog in a wonderful one act by Kyle Metzer called Dog Eat Dog. So I'm doing animals now. I've evolved into animals, but yeah, not a big difference. You know, the dog has the ears like this, and the pig I wore a red hat with the ears of the pig coming out this way. That was my main costume, so not a big deal. I like playing animals. You know, it's fun.
What was your most challenging characters? Your most challenging part, if you will, that you.
Well, I played a mentally challenged character in a film called The Lamastus, a very cute film, independent film. Lauren Velez was in it, and some people you would know that appear in The Sopranos and stuff. And so through that film, I had this lisp, and and you just had to slow down because you had to be. I understand, George, that you got something special. You didn't want to be a parody of a mentally challenged person. You know what I'm saying? So you had to be real, but sell that. And then the funny thing was, I got another role in a film called Glow Ropes, and I played somebody who was not challenged, but he had a lisp. So the lisp took me to 2 pictures, but the other one had to be a little quicker when he spoke because he wasn't challenged. He had that lisp. So that was a bit of a challenge, not to become mentally challenged when I wasn't supposed to, if you get my drift. So, but I enjoy acting. I mean, I love listening and reacting. I mean, that's really.
You end up better? Or?
It's very funny. I like whatever I'm doing in the moment, I think. It's hard to say. Professor Erwin Corey and I were good friends, and he, I was kind of with him towards the end. He lived to 102 and a half, Professor Erwin Corey. Yeah, there. Oh, look at that. So you got Erwin Corey in the lower left, and there's Joe Franklin on the right, and my good buddy Mike Fine is right in the middle there. And I asked Erwin, of all the things you've done, what do you like doing best? Now, Erwin was an amazing stand-up comedian. He had this wonderful character. He kind of did like a double talk thing, and he was kind of crazy, and he was kind of an anarchist. And in real life, he was kind of crazy and an anarchist, but he had the hair like this, and he wore the tails, and he was so funny. And I would assume he would have said, doing a one-man show or something to that effect. He said to me, the best thing was being in a play with lines. So this is something written for him on a stage for an audience. And he actually enjoyed being in a play as opposed to doing stand-up, which I thought was kind of interesting, that he, wouldn't have said something like playing the Palladium in London or something like that. But he liked
Something like
acting. Yeah. He liked acting. It's very interesting. I don't know. I kind of like whatever I'm doing. I mean, it's true when you're in a play, sometimes you think of inserting a joke or a bit of shtick or something, and you realize you can't do that if it's inappropriate. I mean, sometimes you can get away with something, but a little something. But by and large, you got to stick to the script. If it ain't on the page,
but do you ever get? But if you ever get
lines
stuck and then get stuck and then go into some shtick,
well,
like improv.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I was doing Shakespeare. Now, most people know you're not supposed to ad-lib when you do Shakespeare. And for some reason, my character, there's a scene, I was playing Master Page and in Merry Wives of Windsor. And the woman playing my wife says, "You'll come to dinner, George." And for and that's the end of the scene. And we're supposed to exit. That's like an exit, like, "You'll come to dinner, George." And we go to dinner. That's supposed to be the exit of the scene. And she says, and it's actually, that's how it's written, "You'll come to dinner, George." And so I ad-libbed one performance. "I never miss a meal," something like that, and the crowd just cracked up because they knew it wasn't Shakespeare. And, being a fat guy, it was funny. I never miss a meal, So after the show, the director comes up to me, and the director, the stage, they could pretty much yell at me if they want to, because I did something wrong, and he didn't know what to say because it got such a big laugh. So he said, "Bob," it was very sweet. "Bob, you're not supposed to ad-lib in Shakespeare. You shouldn't ad-lib in any play." He's like teaching me something. He says, "But if you do that again, at least try to make it sound Shakespearean." So funny. So we did another show, and I tried it, and it wasn't as funny because it sounded Shakespearean. And then I didn't do it. She said, "You'll come to dinner, George," and I said something like, "Have I ever failed to sup?" which is very Shakespearean. But
it's funny too. Funny.
It is funny too. "Hath I ever failed to sup?" But it does almost sound like it belongs in the play. The other thing, I never miss a meal. They just knew that was just Bob Greenberg talking and not Master Page. But yeah, and then I said, I'll stick to the script. I don't want. I can hear William Shakespeare spinning his script. I didn't want to be, haunted by his ghost.
So, what's the most like? I remember at Joe Franklin, right? Are you still in touch with Dave Koenig?
Oh yes, we're great buds. I just saw him recently do a whole show by himself.
Man. He's a funny guy.
Dave is a very funny guy. He's also a very talented painter and playwright and author of books. The guy is like a Renaissance man, and he's been earning bucks doing cruise ships lately. But I'll be with him at the show that I'm doing on the 11th at the Triad. He's in that show, that benefit. He'll be on land and he'll be doing it. So it's pretty cool.
Let me see if I can. You have some dates coming up, and we'll talk about them now.
Oh yeah. We got this is
the one you pointed out. The one on the 11th.
This is Pangea. Well, that's Pangea, right? The 11th is that it? No, that's that's Pangea. That's this Saturday. That's a good one. Come to that, November 1st, 9 p.m. Pangea. That's got a lot of great acts in it. Paul Hallisey. Oh, there's Rhonda Handsome. There's a lot of good people in that. And look at that. This looks good. Yes, that's a good show. So yeah, so I got that coming, and then after that is the one with Dave, which is that's a good show too. Scott Blakeman's in that show, and Stone and Ellen Orchard. That's on the 22nd. But the one with Dave is this flyer. Do you have that flyer? Celebrate. It's at the Triad. It's on November 11th at 7 p.m. And it's Laura Slutsky and Friends. And Dave is in that show.
Is that the one you're talking about?
That's it, yeah. Although I think Jeffrey Gurian's in the show. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you see Dave's name somewhere there, I think. Yeah, there he is. It's all alphabetized. Yeah, so he'll be in town on the 11th. I'll be there. We're all doing some time. It's for cancer awareness, you know. Yeah, I have 2 shows right in November. I have
the Friars Club,
the Pangea on the 1st, right? That one on the 11th, and then the other 2 shows that I'm doing. The one on the 22nd is Jersey. That one is in Jersey too with my good friend Jeff Greenberg, no relation, and Sandy Ellers. Some good people on that. That's at the it's a Rotary in Jersey. That's on the, what date is that one? I'll make sure I remember. November 13th. Then I have a show November 15th.
Laz Vic.
You know Laz?
Oh, that one there, Laz Vic.
Yeah, I don't.
He used to be at the Joe Franklin's.
Oh, he was, yeah.
He used to be with Franklin, with Victor Cruz. Would he come in with George Diaz, Victor Cruz, those cats?
Oh, right.
Laz was, yeah. Years ago. So which one was that? What's the other one?
The other one, I don't think.
What's the other flyer you have?
It's comedy night at it's a fundraiser at Bethel in East Windsor, and that's with Scott Blakeman. Do you remember Scott Blakeman? Scott Blakeman and Ellen Orchard and Joey Novick. Joey Novick's in this show.
Joey's been around a long time.
If you go to my Facebook
Joey's a
page,
funny guy.
Bob Greenberg Comedian, or Instagram, Bob Greenberg Actor Comic, I'll have all these. I'll have all these up there. Yeah, I'm working a lot lately. How did that happen? And now I have a cold.
You're busy. Busy.
Oh yeah, the strip. Yeah. I look so thin. You know, when they shoot me straight on, I look so thin, and then I turn sideways, and the Alfred Hitchcock comes to me. You know what I mean? I get the Alfred Hitchcock look. I do a good Alfred Hitchcock too.
I like this one here.
Which one?
Didn't you win a couple of contests?
I just did. I was dressed up at the Chilla Theater Expo in Parsippany, New Jersey. Now, my daughter goes to the New York Comic Con every year. You know, it's over at the Javits Center. And, you know, they all dress up, you know, cosplay. And the one in Parsippany, or the Chilla Theater, is more for people our age, you know. And I never went to one, and a friend of mine said, "Oh, you should go." And I thought, all right. And I figured, I'll dress up as Ralph Cramden. And I was a big hit. I mean, I was a big hit. And then, you got to be in the costume contest. And I won, I think it was Best Creative Costume, and a cash prize. It was really nice, yeah. And I got to do my Gleason. Ooh, you know, you're a mental case. You are a mental case. I was doing this all day. Probably why I have a sore throat now. But I was dandy.
You've been working. I'm crying out loud.
I've been busy, yes.
And
yes. Got to keep. Well, you know, the secret to show business is the more you do, the more you do. Can't explain it any other way. The more you do, the more you do. Yeah. So you got to be out there.
And
well, I think isn't Woody Allen has that quote? Yeah. Woody Allen what was it attributed? The quote is 99% of it is showing up. You know, you just got to get out there. So.
You've done a lot. Have you worked with Maurice?
Maurice may come down to
Pangea. Joey Reynolds?
Yes, Maurice and I did Joey Reynolds together quite a few times. Maurice and I have not, I don't think we've been on the bill for a long time, but I think we were on the bill at the Broadway Comedy Club some time ago, and he didn't he play at Joe Franklin? I believe he must have. Yeah, I think he must have played at Joe Franklin too. So
Well, you know
he
who's
said he
there?
might come.
Ronnie Wilkerson.
Oh, I remember,
You remember
Ronnie.
Ronnie?
Ronnie lived in Westchester. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, good friend of mine, Ronnie. I love Ronnie. I miss him,
Yeah,
but I don't know if Maurice, if he was there. He was there near the end. I don't know if I'll have to ask. He
yeah. I
played
don't
at
think.
Joe's.
I used to see. I think I used to see Maurice at the Broadway. Yeah, I don't think he was at Joe
Probably
Franklin.
at Broadway.
Yeah.
You do golf? You play golf?
I used to go from Joe Franklin to Broad. The one thing about when you're a stand-up is that, especially if the clubs are close, you could just do your thing here and then go over there and do your thing. You know what I mean? So I sometimes forget where I was and who I played with, because it's just a few blocks difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when I used to work the Comedy Cellar, I'd go to the Boston. You remember the Boston Comedy Club? And that was a short walk. And it's hard for me to remember, oh, what did I do at the Boston? Oh, okay, I didn't know I did it at the Comedy Cellar. It's all one big show.
What act you did? What voices? Yeah.
Yeah, it's all one big show.
Where that was Dave Chappelle's. Didn't Dave Chappelle with his basically
Boston,
that was his room at Boston.
Dave was still is a very sweet guy, and I remember he saw me, I guess, at the Cellar one night when he was starting out, and then years went by, and he was at Catch a Rising Star, and I'm in the audience. Now, I haven't seen him for years, and he sees me. He goes, "It's Bob Greenberg." Oh, Bob Greenberg. He does the Oliver Hardy. He starts doing an impression of me doing Oliver Hardy on the Sex Hotline. He's going, "Oh, he's doing." This is Bob Greenberg doing Oliver Hardy, and he's just doing. And I'm thinking, that's like, I don't know how many years it was that he saw me do that. You know what I mean? And he's doing it during his act. It was so sweet that we talked after the show. Yeah. But he's that kind of person. He remembers things, and very sweet in the moment. Dave's a good guy. Jeffrey Ross is a good guy. What's that?
Jeffrey Ross. I said I wanted to play a clip.
Okay.
Some of the voices and stuff, your style. You're an old school cat. Throw you giving your bio of the that came along.
Exciting. Yeah. I started with doing curly.
Oh, you did? Yeah. Well, listen. I mean, like the classics and stuff, like the Stooges, and even like the Little Rascals. All the great came down the pipe. There's nothing like that today. God bless Seinfeld. Right. Friends and all that,
Mm-hmm.
The closest thing for me is like Curb Your, like with Larry David, what he does.
Yeah, I mean, there's still.
It's funny.
I do like some of the shows today, like Abbott Elementary. I enjoy, and there's still a few good shows. But yeah, I mean, those classic comedians, you can't beat them, and they still show the Three Stooges, on MeTV and different circuits, and the Honeymooners is always on somewhere. I mean, in my act, I still do. I do Curly, on the Titanic, or Jackie Gleason doing Shakespeare, whatever. But sometimes, the audience doesn't quite know Lou Costello if I do him, and Laurel and Hardy is a little vague to a younger crowd. Anybody over 50 knows all those people. You know what I'm saying? But I think some of the younger folks, they don't know, unless they watch March of the Wooden Soldiers once a year on Thanksgiving or Christmas, they don't know these people. And the thing is, our generation grew up watching them all the time, so we have a relationship to those characters, And I mean, even like W.C. Fields was a big part of my childhood. I remember seeing W.C. Fields movies and cartoons with W.C. Fields, W.C. Fritos. You remember that? And he's completely, forgotten. Ed McMahon used to do W.C. Fields on the Tonight Show, if you remember. But he's somebody. I mean, if I said, "Oh, here's W.C. Fields doing something," in my act, I think the audience would be like, "Who?"
Yeah, that's the thing about it. Like you when you look out at the audience, who's who, and what's what, and if your stuff is going to fit, or you think your stuff is going to fit with that.
Yeah, you have to figure. I mean, I can tell you, like when I do Jackie Gleason in my act, and I'll put on the bus driver's hat, so that helps a little bit. But I pace. I can't do it right now, pacing. But I do a thing with my hand. I'll see, like I do like a thing like this, or I do like this, or and rub my stomach. And if the audience knows the Honeymooners or Gleason, they're laughing from the hand gestures. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to say anything.
Just that alone.
Right. So if I hear them laughing and me pacing back and forth and going, doing this, whatever, I know I got them. And then I just plow through. If they don't do that, I have to hit them with something like, that I know, something that's very quotable. And they usually get those little bang, bang, zoom, you know what I mean? Those things. But it's so great if you're doing, because I do like Lou Costello with the John Gotti trial, or Lou Costello with the El Chapo trial, or whatever. But if I start doing Lou Costello and I go like this, something like that, or I start doing without saying anything and they're laughing, I love that the most, because we're making a great connection, and it's the body language that is so cool that they get that. But if they don't, so for me, that's my barometer. Like, I got to work a little harder, or I got to, quicken the pace or whatever, or I can milk it. You know what I mean? I can milk it because they're eating it up. But that has to do with them knowing these characters. And for a crowd that's 50 plus, no problem. A little younger is harder. I can tell you, I was playing New York Comedy Club, the one on 20. Well, it's not there on anymore, right? 24th Street's not there anymore, right? 24, yeah, I don't think it's there anymore. But right, it was it was off of 2nd Avenue or whatever. So excuse me, just blowing my nose because it's cold. And and it was a very young crowd. And I start to do my impressions, and there was this girl sitting close to the front, and she was so hot. All these young guys were just staring at this girl because she was just incredible. And I'm doing my thing, and she is screaming. She is laughing. She's getting every little gesture, every little thing I do with my hat or whatever. She is cracking up. And it is wonderful to hear. And after my performance, she comes running after me, and everyone's like, "What's going on here?" And she comes up to me and she hugs me and kisses me, and I'm like, "Oh." And she thanks me, and I'm wondering, this hot young girl, how does she know all these characters? And her mother, who died of cancer, used to love these, Abbott and Costello, all this, and she used to get videos, and they would sit and watch them together, and it brought her such pleasure. And so she knew all these shows, you know what I mean? She knew all this. So it brought back wonderful memories for her. And she was like, like I say, 18, 20. And so that was interesting. And it meant so much to her to see me doing those. So that was fascinating. But that's an example of a young person. May not have been the best way to learn about these people, you know what I mean? But that was like, laughter is the best medicine kind of a thing. If you recall, that was like kind of a movement of watching the old comedies and stuff. And so she had that connection. Isn't that funny? It's kind of interesting. Nice. But look, when we were kids, we only had 5 channels. We had 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, I guess 7, 9, 11, 13. There was UHF,
PBS,
whatever. Yeah, but we really watched Channel 5, and we watched Channel 11, and I guess sometimes Channel
2,
9.
4, 7, 11, 9. Yeah.
Yeah, we used to watch the same Bugs Bunny cartoons, the same. The Honeymooners was 39 episodes. We watched them over and over again. So we all have a common language of the Little Rascals and all that.
But
and
it was great back then on Ed Sullivan. When now Ed Sullivan, trendsetter, because Ed was, everybody.
Well,
he'd have guys.
Yeah, well, he had a variety show, and the great thing about Ed Sullivan was the family actually watched the Ed Sullivan show. I mean, because they would have the Beatles on, and they'd have Alan and Rossi on, and they had Topo Gigio on, a puppet. There was something for everybody. You know what I mean? There was something like it was vaudeville. Like you used to say about vaudeville, you sit there, and if you don't like what you're watching, in 8 minutes is going to be over, and there's going to be something else right behind it that you might like. You know what I mean? So you would sit there and watch it, and you say, I don't care for this. Oh, but I like this, So, the parents may not have liked the Beatles, but the kids love the Beatles. You know what I mean? So.
I see my friend Craig. Craig, welcome to the show. God bless you. He said he saw W.C. Fields on a late show.
Yeah.
Karen says,
how are you, Craig?
How are you?
Is everything under control? Yes. Correct.
My little chickadee.
I love Fields.
His lines.
He would curse, but he did curses that he got away with because of censorship. So he wouldn't say "damn," he'd say "tract," or instead of "God damn it," he'd say "Godfrey Daniels," that kind of thing. Oh, he was wonderful, W.C. Fields. He got away with
me. What did he say? Get away from me, kid! You bother me.
Right, he played that circus barker, but he would get away with a lot of things. For instance, he did a film called The Bank Dick, which plays a lot on TCM and on TV. So a bank dick, that's what the slang for detective, dick, detective. So he plays a bank dick, and in the movie, he goes to the Black Pussy Cafe. Okay, now in his script, he calls it, because he wrote the film. The Black Pussy refers to, I'm going to the Black Pussy. He's always saying about. Now, somebody in the art department realized that if they put Black Pussy on the window of the bar and the door, it might get a little attention. So in the film, it's called the Black Pussycat Cafe. Someone, let's not say Black Pussy, Black Pussy Bar. So there's a Black Pussycat Cafe. Fields never says the Black Pussycat Cafe. Never. It's always the Black Pussy he's going to. And at one point, he's dressed as the bank dick. He's got this uniform on and everything. He works in a bank. Security. And he walks in, and there's a pillar, post, and a booth kind of thing. And he gets himself stuck. All right. So now think, he's the bank dick. He walks into the Black Pussy, and he gets stuck between the pillar and the post. And he says, Joe, it's a tight fit. You should put some Vaseline along the walls. Now, how did he get away with this? And he's doing these lines.
He didn't say that.
He says it. If you see the film, he blocks himself. He goes, oh, it's a tight fit. You should put a little Vaseline along the wall. And they left it in. It's the funniest thing.
They left that in?
I don't think they weren't thinking about it. It wasn't
not
like
that. Not along those lines. Yeah.
The thing was, it wasn't like they didn't remind you in the moment that he was the bank dick. They didn't remind you in the moment that it's the Black Pussy. But after you see the film, you think about it. Why is he doing it? And you go, oh, he's thinking about it. So it's funny. He would do things like that just to bother the
that's
senses.
like Soupy Sales. Like Soupy Sales was,
Well, look, they were comedians, and they like to have in jokes, and what did they used to call playing to the band? That kind of thing. Fields. That film, The Bank Dick. It says screenplay, original story and screenplay by Mahatma Cain Jeeves. You go, what kind of an interesting name, Mahatma Cain Jeeves? And what that is, every drawing room drama years ago would have a scene where the head of the house or somebody would say, "My hat, my cane, Jeeves," and the butler would be bringing the hat and the cane. So he combined it, Mahatma Cane Jeeves. You know, it's like it just, and you go, Mahatma.
Okay.
So he would do that. You know, he would have fun with the words. He was brilliant. But you know, I guess he's not PC. You know what I mean? He hates children. His wives are always horrible people. Yeah. You know, I mean, he was anti. That's why he was big in the '60s. If you remember, he was, you know, kind of revolutionary anarchy. You know, he was like, you know, commenting on the norms of the day, and college campuses enjoyed that. You know, like the Marx Brothers were anarchists, right? And Bogart was very big. I remember when I was a kid in revival houses because he was the anti-hero. So, but Fields, I don't think would fly with the drinking, all that drinking and smoking and complaining about women. And but it is funny. It's funny. He says the stuff he shouldn't say. He says the things you shouldn't say, and it's hilarious. But everyone's so PC now.
Bobby, you know? I'm gonna show you a clip. I know you're sick.
Sure.
Show you a clip. Tell everybody where you. Well, you got a cold, you know. But you are. You're
I have a cold. I don't think I can tell I have a cold. I don't know how you tell it.
I took a guess. The Sammy Davis Jr. show, Karen points out, was another, all those shows, the Dean Martin show, Sammy Davis Jr. You remember Engelbert Humperdinck? He even had a show. Remember
everybody had a show.
That?
Engelbert Humperdinck. That was his real name.
That's a hell of a name. Yeah. Alexa, what was Engelbert Humperdinck's real name?
Engelbert Humperdinck's birth name is Arnold George Dorsey, and he was born back in 1936.
Wow, okay.
Alexa, my A-L-E.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Happy to help. Hope you had a good...
My A-L-E-X-A was answering too. Yeah, my A-L-E-X-A was answering too. I don't want to say it.
Because she'll answer again.
Yes, you were talking in the pre.
You know, with this AI now, there was another search engine that I had that was on the same line as Alexa, and I did a little experiment one night, and it's kind of key, you know, where they going back and forth, but yeah. Bob, I want to play here.
Okay.
This is a bit of your stand-up.
Oh.
And all right. And I'll see you in a few. I gotta pee myself.
Works all over the country. Give it up for Bob Greenberg, everybody!
Work that mug, all right?
I know some of you are looking at me thinking, what is Chris Christie doing here? I do admit I share the avoir du poil with the governor, I do. But there the similarities end because I'm Jewish. I don't think Chris Christie's Jewish. Not with a name like Chris Christie. When you call yourself Chris Christie, you might as well call yourself Christ, or not Jew, not Jew. He's been to Israel. I have not been to Israel. And he went to the Wailing Wall. And the New York Post, which is a very kind, benevolent paper, the New York Post, had a picture of Governor Christie at the Wailing Wall, and the headline read, "The Whale at the Wailing Wall." A very kind, benevolent paper. Warm today, wasn't it? It was warm. I can't wait for summertime. Me too. Best thing about summertime is beautiful women walking around in tank tops and short shorts. The worst part, guys like me walking around in tank tops and short shorts. I'm so fat I'm beside myself. And when you're not fit, things fit not. It's true, even as a kid, I remember one Halloween, I wanted to be a skeleton. Only skeletons don't come in husky. For me to go trick-or-treating, my grandmother had to sew my skeleton costume onto my white thermal underwear. So me and my friends, we go trick-or-treating, get to the first door, and the guy comes out to give us candy. Hey, it's Superman! Hey, it's Frankenstein! Hey, it's a fat boy in his underwear. Last Halloween, I ran out of candy. Kids came to the door, I had nothing for them. So I gave out takeout packs of sugar. Which is candy in its purest form. When those ran out, I gave out takeout packs of salt, pepper, soy sauce, duck sauce, hot mustard. I cleaned out that little shelf in my refrigerator. And did you know that 8 creamers make a glass of milk? My father taught me that. I want to do some impressions for you. You guys like impressions? I'm going to do some, I may be too young for this room, I'm not sure, but I'm going to do some classic impressions, all right? My first impression, a Jewish Alfred Hitchcock. Shabbat Shalom. Here's Lou Costello at the John Gotti trial. Mr. DA, are you asking me if I think John Gotti's a member of organized crime? Well, I'll tell you, confidentially, oh, there's John Gotti. There's John Gotti. John Gotti! John Gotti! John Gotti! John Gotti! John Thank you. One last impression for you. Jackie Gleason doing Shakespeare. To be or not to be? Oh, that is the question. Because you know that I know. That you know that I'm the Prince of Denmark. The Prince! I am the Prince! And Ophelia's a mental case. Go! If you tickle us, do we not laugh? Ha, 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 ha. If you prick us, do we not bleed? Norton, prick me. Will you prick me, Norton? Et tu, Norton? Et tu? Iago, you are a blabbermouth. A blabbermouth. Desdemona? Desdemona, bang, zoom, to the moon, Desdemona, to the moon. Juliet, what can I say but baby, thou art the greatest.
Hello.
Yes, yes, yes. All the impressions were on exhibit then, and good, man. You're
Yes,
funny.
it is. It's funny. For that said, I didn't use my hats. I usually use a bunch of hats, but I'm not quite sure. At the Gotham, for some reason, I go through periods where I feel like I don't need the props. You know what I mean? But certain. It really depends. When I do my own show, I often will have hats and stuff. But I think that's because it's like it depends on the room. It's funny, when we were starting out, there were prop acts, but a lot of the comedy clubs they don't like props. You know what I mean? It's kind of interesting. But I kind of that set was a while back. Now I always bring the hats because I just think it adds a little showbiz to it. You know what I mean? And it's something to play with, and it's fun.
It gives it more flavor too. It visualizes the character.
It's very funny because I'm trying to recall when that was recorded. It was a few years back, but I was going through a period when I didn't have. I didn't take. Well, the one thing about having things like hats and stuff is that you have to carry them, and you can easily lose them. I lost a derby in a cab. I've never forgotten this brown derby. I love this brown derby, and I just left it in a cab. So that's why I think a lot of acts don't like to carry props, because it's so easy to lose them unless you have your own stage manager with you or your own crew, But it's funny. We were talking before. I was trying to think. You were saying what was the most exciting, or when someone goes up in lines or something. I was on Saturday Night Live with Jim Carrey, and I had done, before I did this appearance with Jim Carrey, I was in a lot of digital shorts and stuff, featured things, and they booked me to do this one line. And there we are. The show was recorded January 8th, 2011, and supposedly the Mayan calendar claims that the world will end in 2012. So his whole monologue, which was written by Colin Jost and John Mulaney, was about the fact that he's going to say, Jim Carrey is going to say and do whatever he wants because the world's going to end very soon. So he's like just saying all this stuff. And he says, for instance, I'm looking at a pair of beautiful breasts right now. And they cut to me and I go, thank you, Jim. And that was the shtick. And that's all I was supposed to do in the show. And I got a big laugh. But we did. Saturday Night Live does a dress rehearsal, at 8:00. It's a 2-hour show, and then between 10 and 11:30, they decide what's going to be in the live broadcast. Mind you, the dress rehearsal has a packed house, and they probably record it because, in case, God forbid, something happens during the live show, they have tape or whatever. So at the end of the monologue, Jim goes into the audience and proposes to a real audience. Now, I was what's called a plant. I was being paid. I was, 5 lines or less was my contract or whatever. And but the woman that he proposes marriage to was a real audience member. And at the dress rehearsal, he picked the right girl. She was, I don't know if they pre-screened her or not, but she was perfect. And he asks her if she'd marry him. She giggled. She was like a young Goldie Hawn, like that type. And he brought her up on stage and picked her up and all this stuff. So the live broadcast, Jim and I guess I can call him Jim, do the exchange about the breasts and everything. He actually got an extra laugh because they added a word. And I knew this as I'm waiting to go on at the live show. Colin Jost and John Mulaney run up to me. And I'm like, oh, my God, they're going to cut it. That's they cut things, at the last minute. And he says, Bob, we're just going to add some, Jim's going to say, I'm looking at a pair of beautiful breasts. Thank you, sir. He's going to say that. And then you say your line. And I was like, okay, fine. The only thing was he got a laugh on that, sir, before it cut to me. So I started to say my thank you. And then they're all laughing. So I waited again and said, thank you, Jim. And that worked fine. So we do this live, And then he goes into the audience to propose to this woman. Her name is Mindy. He says, yeah, what's your name, Mindy? He says, will you marry me, Mindy? And she shows her wedding ring. And I said, what's that? She says, well, it's my wedding. Oh, you're already married. It doesn't matter. Come. This is, and she won't go with him. Now, I don't know if they pre-screened her, but she won't get out of her seat. She's not playing or whatever. And he says, oh, forget the wedding ring. He tries to take the wedding ring off. And I'm sitting there going, you can't take a woman's wedding ring off. This is terrible. And I start waving at him. Now, the audience at home doesn't see me waving, but I'm waving at him because I'm thinking, I don't know what's happening, but I'm here if he needs me. That's old improv training. If someone's out there and something's going, it's not going so great. You wave like, use me, bring me out, whatever. So he looks, and you can see it if you watch the tape. He looks and he sees me, and she says, okay, forget it. He says, come on, dude. And he grabs me and he pulls me up on stage. He says, what's your name? Bob. He says, will you be my life partner, my new life? Says, I have a question. Yes. And so we ended it, and that was all improvised, and it was so exciting.
Oh, okay.
And we're hugging and whatever. And it was very funny because he had picked up the other girl at the dress rehearsal, and I said, I figured he couldn't pick me up. He says, you want me to pick you up? And no, we'll just hug and we wave and everything. So once we're done, shows you how live TV is. He says, thank you, man. You saved my ass. And he's got his hand on my shoulder. And all of a sudden I feel him being pulled away. And, the wardrobe department, they're pulling him away, and they're tearing all the clothes because of the quick changes. They all can be torn off. Right. They're all Velcro, the back. They're taking his clothes off as he's going off the stage. And the stage manager and, of course, the crew knew what happened. This was all ad-libbed and improvised. And so the stage manager says, let's hear it from Mr. Bob Greenberg. Bob Greenberg. This is, they're going to commercial. The audience at home doesn't see this. And I took a bow from the stage, and the crew guys are all high-fiving me and all that. And that was such a great moment. And it's one of the few times Bobby Moynihan, who's on the show, told me, because I worked with him on something else, he said that's one of the few times that they ever did actual improv. That was actual improv in Saturday Night Live. So
wow, okay.
And that's an example you mentioned where something goes wrong. That was, I don't know why. I don't know if they were pre-screening the real audience. Like, did somebody talk? It's possible she got stage fright. You know what I mean? She was like, she didn't get out of the seat.
She might have.
Who knows? I mean, she was. Yeah. In both cases,
she's up there with Jim Carrey.
Yeah. In both cases, they didn't want an actor, or as we say, a plant. I was a plant. I was put it there. As a matter of fact, for that bit, there was an audience member. They asked the audience member to leave, and then I go in and I sit down for the bit. Yeah. And then once I was done, I was
at the end of the show.
Yeah. So pretty cool. But I guess they thought she would cooperate, and then she didn't. And this is live TV. And I had no idea what he was going to do, but I wanted him to know I was there for him. So I'm waving at him, and so I'm his life partner. But he never calls. He never writes.
Life partner. Yeah.
I never hear. Does he owe me alimony? I don't know how it works, but you couldn't get married to a man in 2011. I guess today I could have sued him for damages or something. So
that's funny. This ending probably worked better than the ending that they originally planned.
And I ran into,
definitely
in Colin Jost. I ran into him at an audition, a callback for The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. And he said, you saved our asses, man. Thank you so much. I said, I was just there, but yeah, no, and people thought it was scripted, and it plays great because it's so real. Yeah. So real. But yeah, I think it's a better ending. Yeah. Definitely. It's it. Sometimes, magic happens, you know what I mean? It just happens,
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. And you were part of it. You were part of that moment, that magic, as you say.
But sometimes when things go, yeah, I mean, sometimes when things go wrong, it's a blessing, It really is. You can't plan it. It's good to have a plan. You know this from stand-up too. It's good to have your set, and it's good to have a plan, and then you rehearse. But then the audience brings something, and you got to go with it. You know what I mean? You got to go that way or go this way or whatever, depending on the crowd.
Whatever.
So, yeah. So you
Yeah.
just play
But
it by ear.
sometimes you come out, you're gonna do a set that but then like you say, you might have a heckler, so you come out and then all of a sudden it's like, oh man, here we go. I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it was just like came up and from this lady drunk. She had a few drinks. One of those crowds, happy crowd. They're good. Second show and forget about it. I mean, like, oh man. But you just got to roll with it. You take as much as you can, and before sometimes you might have to really get nasty. Which I don't like to do. Yeah. I mean, it's one thing. If they don't get it, if you tell them you try to hey, stop. And if they just keep coming, man, I don't like that. I don't like the confrontations.
I am knock wood. I've been very lucky. I've been doing stand-up, on and off many years, and I've never, and this could change, I better knock wood some more, never ran up against a bad heckler. I have no idea why. Only maybe the first time I ever performed, I did stand-up for the first time. I broke my stand-up cherry in Montclair, New Jersey, at a place called Something Different. Mickey Loesch was the MC. It was the strangest show. It was a bakery that had these long tables, and all the college kids, I guess from Montclair University, whatever, would come there on a Saturday night. And I guess they didn't have booze, but they had pastry and coffee or whatever, soft drink.
But you work clean, brother. You basically work clean.
I work clean, and so I'm doing stand-up for the first time, and they're just not buying my act. I don't know what it was. It's really quiet, and at some point, they were all college kids, right? This guy in the middle, I can remember. I can even see him now. He just yells from his seat, "You're a dick," and everybody laughs, right? And so, and then I said to him, "Well, and I called him the cunt. I said, "You're a cunt." Or I don't know if you could say. I called him the C word, and everyone laughed. That's the first and last time I've ever said the C word. So everybody laughs, and then I added and says, "So I'm a dick and you're a cunt." I say, and it says, "So let's go in the alley and fuck." And now I say this, right? It was the first time I ever did stand up. It was the last time I ever said the C word. It was the last time. It was the first and last time I've ever said the C word, and the first and last time I ever said the F word. And it was all my first set. But this audience laughed at that. They liked me. He put me down. I put him down, and then I had a button. And then everything I did after, they laughed. And it's just that. And I learned so much. I learned so much from that one set about audiences, and it was very interesting. I tell you, but I've been very lucky. Like I said, I don't know if it's the places I'm booked at or the crowds that follow me. I've never had something like that really ever happen again. I can't recall, except there was a club called Tickles in Brooklyn in Bay Ridge. And I remember, who was that?
You talking about Chuck?
No, it was called Tickles. No, Tickles. It was in Bay Ridge. Really? It was a real mafia joint. And there was a...
was that Dave's?
Which one? No,
Dave?
It was...
Did Dave?
I don't know.
The owner from Pips. You don't know?
It wasn't Pips. It wasn't Pips. It was like 3rd Avenue.
No, I mean the
80th Street or something. I'm pretty sure it was called Tickles. And we were told on this one night or one show, I did 2 shows or 4 shows in a weekend, that the center, all the tables in the center, don't talk to them. They were all mob. Don't talk to them. Don't answer. And so I'm doing my act, and I'm doing some stuff. and I'm doing my Jewish material, completely inappropriate for this crowd and all this stuff. And a guy in the back, and this is before Cape Fear with Robert De Niro, he starts laughing in that fake laugh, like Robert De Niro does in the Cape Fear, like, ha, 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 ha. And this is before Cape Fear. So he's doing this laugh, and I'm trying to get through my set, and I realize I can't talk to him. I've been told not to talk to these people, right? So I start to say something. Well, I guess he's enjoying my act, And then I looked down, and there was this woman, an older Italian woman with white hair or silver hair, and I guess he's enjoying my act. I don't know. This is madam, are you enjoying my act? And she very regally, this woman says, yes, I'm enjoying your act. And I think everybody should enjoy your act. And she looks back, and the guy stops. He just stops, and like this. And says, so please continue. And I start doing my act, and everyone's laughing. And she must have been like the Don's wife or something. You know what I mean? The Godfather's, wife or mother. I mean, it was surreal. It was surreal. And I saw him, like, oh shit. And so that was a very interesting experience. And I remember at this club, my God, when you got paid, you had to go down into the basement. Dark basement going down, and there was that big heavy guy like Jabba the Hutt sitting behind a desk, and on the desk were all this cash, piles of hundreds and fifties, piles of cash, and you had to make this long walk to the guy to get your money, and there was like the bulb hanging, the light bulb without, And I had to take this long walk to the guy, and he kind of looks up at me. He was counting money, and he says, "You were good." And he reaches over. He doesn't even look. But he takes $100. I was getting paid $100. Takes the $100, and he puts it out for me, and I take it, and I bow, and I didn't turn around. I just kept, thank you very much. That was pretty. Well, the mob was probably still are pretty involved in those clubs. I worked a place in Howard Beach where you weren't supposed to mention John Gotti's name. Of course, I was doing Lou Costello, the John Gotti trial at the time. That was like my big thing. Although I also did Lou Costello meets O.J. Simpson. It was very similar bit, whatever. But at that time, I was doing John Gotti. And at the first show, I made it Al Capone, Lou Costello, the Al Capone trial, right? Same bit, different. Okay. Different gangster. But at the late show, I was a little tired. Right. And the words John Gotti comes out of my mouth, and literally like the water, the bus boys pouring the water, it freezes. The whole place freezes. Everything goes. And there was you said guy. When I said John Gotti, the whole place just stopped, And there was a guy his name was Lucifer. He was like the host or someone that, he's in the front, and I could hear him, and he had a voice like this, and I hear him say faintly, he said John's name. He says John's name. So I've already said John Gotti in the beginning of the thing. So I was like, oh God. So I continue the bit, and because, it kind of celebrates him in a way, because I think. So I go through the whole bit, and I realize, and the audience is fine. And afterwards, I think I'll go to the manager and I'll apologize. You know what I mean? And so I go over and I say, I'm really, and I'm like, I sound like Woody Allen. Yeah, I didn't mean to be didactic or facetious in any way. I respect the club, and I respect, I'm like almost sounding like this. And the guy puts his arm around me, a real bear kind of thing, like this, puts his arm around me, and I'm apologizing. He says, the worst things a person can do. I go, yes, I know there are worse things. And they said, but I respect, you asked that I shouldn't say his name. And when I play here, I don't say John Gotti. I use Al Capone. And he says, I think wherever you go, you should use Al Capone. You shouldn't use it wherever you go. And I'm such an idiot. I start to say, oh, no. When I played the comic strip or the comic style, there's no reason why I can't say John got. And then there's a little voice in the back is say, yes, you're right. His little voice saying, schmuck, what do you say? And then I went, oh, but then again, you're right. I should use Al Capone wherever I go. Oh my God! But I got paid, and I live to tell the tale.
You got paid, right? You got paid. That's the thing.
And I lived
because did you live? Did you eat? Did they feed you?
Well, originally this was the My Way Cafe in Howard Beach, right? By the way, I remember when I was looking at the place and I was talking to the manager, they had these beautiful plants in the front. And I said to the manager, oh, these are beautiful, these plants, but it must be a real bitch at night to take them all in. I think when the place closes, they would take the plants in. And he says, well, why would we take the plants in when we close up? Well, you wouldn't want anyone to take them. And he says to me, nobody's taking those plants. Nobody's taking those plants.
Yeah.
So
the way he said it, right?
Yeah, nobody's taking those. But so, but no, that was an interesting club to play. But a lot of them were mabo, like Tickles.
You see what Craig said, right? He said that's like Richard Pryor and JoJo Dancer.
Oh, I'm sure,
Craig.
Yeah, I'm sure. No, it's well, it's part of the business, and
You ever play a room in New Haven, Connecticut? Joker's Wild.
No, I don't remember.
Joker's Wild in New Haven. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's like same kind of
yeah. I mean, I
Young Wild.
I played a place in Brooklyn once where with the sliding, like in those Roaring 20s movies with the sliding thing, and the guy looks out like what's the password kind of thing, and me and this other comedian had to be approved, and the bouncer opened the door and he had like a neck like this and everything.
What do you mean?
And
what do you mean gotta be
it's a little scary. It's a little scary.
You got to be approved. You have to make sure.
He waited. He wouldn't let us in. Me and this other comedian from New York. He wouldn't let us in. He had to call over a woman. Is they're okay? And then we went into the room. You know what I mean? It was like a private men's club.
Yeah. Wow.
And I remember we were walking from the subway a bit of a distance, and then we're in this was Brooklyn, but we were like in where there's a Bugs Bunny cartoon. They refer to Flatbush as the forest primeval. It was definitely an area with lots of trees and stuff. And then you come to this house. It was a private club. And I bet you that there was probably serious mafiosa. You know what I mean? Like the other rooms we were discussing were public rooms. But I have a feeling this was not a public crowd, if you get my drift. This was a very private thing. But we got paid and we lived. The other comedian, I won't mention his name, but he was doing something. He was trying to do a magic act. It was like a comedy magic act with this guy and his girl, and the guy and the gal that was sitting there. The guy had those big sunglasses, like that, and he had white hair slicked back, like very cliche. And his girlfriend was a little too young for him. She's laughing, she's enjoying it. He's just like this through the whole set for this comedian. And he was doing this quote unquote magic trick, and he needed a $20 bill. So, sir, do you have a $20 bill? And he's not giving the comedian a $20 bill. And she's like, go ahead, give him the $20. Give him the $20. Finally, he gives the comedian the $20. And what was the bit? The comedian takes the $20 and just puts it in his pocket. And he says, now, sir, you're a schmuck. That was the bit. He just takes the money. That's the trick,
that was
right?
It? Oh.
That was it. All right. Now, so talk about inappropriate, especially for this room. The guy turns to him and says, you better not take a walk alone tonight. I never forgot this. You better not take a walk alone tonight. Watch out for shadows. Look out for eyes. he's telling the guy he's not going to live. And the guy is going, "Oh, sir, I was just kidding. Here, here's the money." He's like putting the money back, on the, he's putting the money back on the table.
Yeah.
And he says, I don't want that money. And the guy with the one very elegant, this guy's one swipes it off to the floor, and the comedian keeps putting it on the table. He's swiping it off the floor, and he puts it back on the table. And the girl's, "Oh, he's just kidding. He's just kidding." Yeah, but this guy's offended, So the comedian doesn't know what to do. I don't know if this was the end of his act, and he's supposed to bring me on. So what does he do? After this whole thing, he goes, "Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now here's Bob Greenberg." I have to come on after this. And I go, "Oh, thank you. I don't do any magic." And I went into my act, and I purposely did not speak to this gentleman, but that was the funniest thing. Yeah, I mean, I have no idea why this guy did this bit in this particular room. I mean, I get the joke, you know what I mean? That he just takes the money.
It's a joke, but obviously he didn't get that. Don't get that type of,
Yeah,
like you said. It
but
was
I never
inappropriate,
forgot,
but
the guy, I never forgot his look. That those sunglasses. It was like kind of a Martin Scorsese, and the way he goes, I don't want the money. The way he just wipes it off the table. He didn't want it now that the comedian did that bit or whatever. So,
like you said, he was offended.
He was offended.
Better watch the shadow.
I love that. You better not take a walk alone tonight. Watch out for shadows. I never forgot that. Look out for eyes.
Funny.
Eyes, where are the eyes in the bushes? But he made it home.
We're
in a dangerous profession, George. George, we're in a dangerous profession.
I know. All right. Yo, whose room was that? Whose room was that? You remember? Phil Selman, Gary Grant, John Schuler, Roger Paul.
I worked for, I'm trying to remember. There was a guy called Tommy Cheese. Do you remember Tommy Cheese? Does that name ring a bell?
Yeah, Cheese. He had all those rooms.
He was
Cheese
out
had
of
the Howard Beach room.
Yeah, he was out of the New York Comedy Club.
Beach.
And also, I used to work for Spotlight. It wasn't the original Spotlight Entertainment. It was a different Spotlight. And I can't remember the guy who ran it, but he had that Howard Beach room. And the Tickles, I'm trying to remember who ran Tickles. But
might have been Murphy.
Yeah, these were all people that hung out at the New York Comedy Club.
Okay.
Tommy Cheese was definitely. So I'm not sure if Tommy booked me in the one. I know I was booked into a kosher seafood restaurant by the guy Chris Mazzilli, who now runs the Gotham. But these were all people that were affiliated with the New York Comedy Club, as I recall. But that private club, I don't know. There was also a guy named Marty Fisher, I think. Does that name ring a bell to you?
No.
That used to book acts. So, but sometimes, you mentioned a few people. Sometimes I would get bookings from somebody who worked for Selman or somebody who worked for Tony Camacho. Do you know what I mean? Like somebody who was working for, yeah, because they'd say it's a Camacho gig or something. But I would never see. I've worked with Selman, but I wouldn't see them. You know what I mean? But I was told, it was like a handoff gig kind of a thing.
Gotcha. Yeah.
A long time ago.
Yeah. Those guys now, like Tony Camacho, he's out in Vegas now. They moved around and yeah.
Yeah, Selman.
He's done over there at.
Yeah, Selman. I did. Phil Selman. I did stand up with a couple of times over the years and recently. They weren't Selman gigs. They were somebody else. But I worked with him. Doing stand up. So I don't think I ever. I don't think he ever booked me in anything. It's funny. Nostalgia. We're now Joe Franklin. We're doing nostalgia. Yes. Or is it neuralgia? Yeah. I don't know.
But I love Joe. I miss Joe.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
only one of a kind, man.
Yeah.
That guy, man, was I was thinking Tickles. What was
Tickles
not
was in
feet?
Bay Ridge. I don't remember who booked it. I remember I met. Do you remember High Powered Howard? He used to play there.
Yeah.
There was a comedian that I opened for at Tickles. I want to say his name was Chris Rock, but it wasn't Chris Rock because I know Chris. You know Chris Rock. It was a name like Chris Rock. He had a shaved head, white guy, but it wasn't Chris Rock. Why can't I remember this comedian's name? He was very funny. Gosh, I wish I could remember his name. He did a bit talking about all the drugs he took. That he took so many drugs that when he was an usher in a movie theater, I'm trying to remember the whole bit. He talked about the fact that he took so many drugs in the 60s or 70s that when he pees, just light comes out of him, So which gave him a great in for being an usher in a movie theater. And he did hold like his penis, like he
went into that, yeah,
showing you a seat in the theater. He goes, but it was handy because they didn't need a flashlight when he was ushering in a movie theater. What was his name? I want to say Chris Rush. How about Chris Rush? Does that name ring a bell to you?
Chris Rush was black. Yeah.
So not him. No, this is a white guy with a shaved head. Anyway, too many memories.
I know he was Dangerfield's comic. I know about.
You do? You
talk about like
he did a lot of drugs.
Yeah, like I break down. I'll break down and buy food, something like that. All the drugs that he did. He said sometimes I'd break down and have to spend money and waste my food. Yeah,
at the
I know.
Show,
I'm trying to think of his.
At the show, I talked. At the show, I was telling you about with the guy in the back laughing and the woman in the front quieting down and taking control of the room. He was the headliner that weekend, as I recall. Yeah, he was the headliner.
Well, see, those rooms are made for him. How you got booked is that's just you had connections. Of course. You're a clean comic. You work like the Borscht Belt pretty much. That circuit. Well, for you to be there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess eventually, I was very popular with the impressions. I mean, it was just something different to have, and I never minded being in any. I always felt that. I mean, they would do these shows where everybody is a particular type, and I would think to myself, this is boring because they're all hitting the same jokes. You know what I'm saying? So I love variety. Right. There's no reason why you can have a female comic, a black comic, a Jewish mix it up.
You ever do a black room? You ever go uptown? You ever come uptown and
I never did. No, I never did the Apollo. I mean, I definitely played for black audiences, most definitely.
Okay.
But I never played like a real, where they I know you see like in an Eddie Murphy movie or something with the heckler and all.
Hardcore.
I never played a hardcore room. I think Bookers thought I was too sensitive to do that, or too clean maybe.
Yeah.
So, but my first experience, I was telling you, the first experience I had in Montclair, New Jersey, was something akin to that. Was something that I guess I could have done, but that really wasn't my style because I'm more of a performer. I mean I do bits. So
yeah, exactly.
The back and forth stuff. I mean, Don Rickles did that, of course. He was a genius at that. But
that was what he
did.
Yeah. Like Lisa,
right.
Who? Those comics.
Right. You almost name. It's an act, but it's not an act. It's like pieces all put together depending on the audience. You know what I mean? You have well, Jeffrey Ross does that when he roasts. But it's not like
Ben Creed.
Yeah,
that's the comic that you're talking about. That talks about the drugs and the whole thing. Ben Creed.
Well, it's funny because there's an audience for everything. You know what I mean? And I think for every comedian or even actor, you have to find your audience. And once you got your audience, then you play to that crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, you play to that crowd. You know.
And,
but it's fun sometimes. Yeah. To play to a crowd you're not used to. It's interesting that and how you work through it, you know, or a crowd that doesn't speak English, or you know, I've played for an old Japanese crowd, and you know, something gets lost in the translation. You know what I mean? Or you say something and someone's translating it for you.
How'd you do then? You get any laughs? You get anything from them?
I did a lot of faces. I kind of
okay.
Yeah, I kind of like dropped the mic and hit my head, you know, because it was obvious.
Stuff like that, yeah.
But like I did Curly, the Three Stooges, and they, you know, you know, all the little face stuff.
That was big.
And Laurel and Hart, they definitely responded to that. And I did like I used to do a pantomime of doing the hula hoop, you know, like a hula hoop guy, but it was just me gyrating my stomach, you know, and I did the hula hoop guy on acid, you know, and I did I had some physical stuff that I could do at that time. But it was definitely a workout, you know, it's a workout, but you know, you do what you got to do, right?
That's showbiz. See, that's good. Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah. Bobby, I want to thank you, my friend. And
thank you, George.
How do you want to leave?
How do you want to leave it? I guess I tell people to come to my shows. We did all the flyers, right? You can visit me on Facebook, Bob Greenberg Comedian. You'll see me with Jim Carrey in the picture, or Instagram, Bob Greenberg Comic Actor, and see where I'm playing. You get to see me work, and hopefully I'll be done with my cold, and I won't be blowing my nose, and it'll be a lot of fun. Come on down. Nice to see you.
It was great stuff, Bob. I thank you, my friend.
Thank you, George.
And yeah, more than welcome. And Chris Christie. Yeah.
Yes, well, you know, I do a whole chunk on Chris Christie, as you know, so it's a lot of fun.
Aaron says, "Come to Wisconsin."
Oh, one day. I do like cheese, so I could come.
Yeah. She was talking about before. You do Costello?
What's that?
Do you like you do Howard Costello? She was do Costello, showing out some requests.
Oh, I didn't see. I can't see anything on my computer. No, I yeah.
Maybe
you know, it's funny. I should have had my phone up. Yeah, I couldn't see. No, I don't do Costello. I actually only do like 6 impressions. I do Lou Costello, Curly, yeah, Oliver Hardy, Stan Laurel. And who else do I do? I do John Candy. And Jackie Gleason.
And Jackie Gleason.
Yeah, that's my big one. And I think I do Alfred Hitchcock, as you know.
Right.
Good evening. Yeah, so I do like 6 impressions, but I'm still called an impressionist. But the ones I do very well.
There you go.
So
yes, indeed. That was fun going down memory lane, but we can talk more. You know, I want to ask you that guy. When we did the Joey Reynolds thing, right?
Yeah.
Remember Dave being there? You were there, Dave Koenig. The guy that looks like he was there. That looks like Groucho Marx remember he was at Joe Frank as well. I think Joey Reynolds with us as well.
Ron McCluskey.
What's his name?
He did a Groucho Marx. He looked like Groucho.
He looked like Groucho. He looked like he had the beard, the whole thing. You see him the first thing, it's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. Once you see them, you know, that whole visual,
I can't remember.
We did the show with him. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, you mean, I'm trying to think. Can't remember. as soon as we go off the air, I'll remember. That's how my mind is these days. You know, I see somebody, I go, "Hey, how you doing?" Can't remember the name. 15 minutes later, oh. Joey Reynolds is great, though. I love Joey Reynolds. Doing those shows were fantastic. I worked with Marilyn Michaels on that show. If you remember, I worked with a few really good people.
The Impressionist. She's fabulous.
Yeah, she's still with us.
Really?
I knew Will Jordan. You know, I was friendly with Will Jordan and Larry Storch. Larry Storch was an impressionist. A lot of people don't know that.
The A Troop, the F Troop, right? Larry Storch.
Right, he did F Troop.
F Troop.
He, you know the cliche impression of Cary Grant, the Judy. You know, people used to do that for Cary Grant. Judy.
Yeah.
He created that. I mean, it's very funny. He was performing at like the Latin Quarter or some nightclub, and he was doing his Cary Grant impression, and Judy Garland just walked right in front of him, you know, to get to her seat right in front of him on stage, practically. Well, you know, in a nightclub, there's no real stage; it's just an area or whatever.
It's like,
and so as he was doing the Cary Grant, she walked by him, and he started going Judy as she walked by. And Earl Wilson, do you remember the columnist Earl Wilson, Earl's Pearls on the paper?
Yeah.
Mentioned how calm and collected Larry Storch was as Judy Garland just sort of wandered in front of him, and he did a stellar impression of Cary Grant going Judy, and that became the catchword. The quote for doing Cary Grant was going Judy. Very much. Another story that Will Jordan told me. You know, Will Jordan was the first Ed Sullivan impersonator, and Ed Sullivan, Will Jordan would do an impression of Ed Sullivan, and the audience wasn't reacting so much, but he knew it was good. He'd worked on it, and so one night he just started playing with it and started to say, "It's a really big shoe." He was doing that kind of stuff, a really big shoe, you know. And all of a sudden, the audience responded, and he'd spin around, and that made the impression sort of overemphasizing, playing with it. And then after that, even Ed Sullivan would start to go, "A really big shoe," but it wasn't from Ed; it was from Will Jordan doing it. It's so funny. I learned a lot.
Ed had an incredible sense of humor.
What's that?
Ed had a sense of humor. He used to be. He was you know how he started as a sports journalist.
Columnist. Newspaper guy.
A columnist. Yeah, and
there's a great documentary about him.
Mm-hmm. I watched it. That's how I know.
You saw that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's Sammy did a lot of voices, good voices as well. Yeah.
Rickles, Jonathan Winters, Jim Carrey, they all started out as impressionists. And Rickles would never give up his Jimmy Cagney. To the day he died, Rickles did a Jimmy Cagney, I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy. He would do that whole thing, you know. But Carrey, I think, stopped doing impressions at some point. And Winters also did stop doing impressions.
He was good. Jim Carrey was good.
Well, yeah, but Carrey felt, and he was probably right, that if he didn't stop doing the impressions, he would just wind up staying in Las Vegas and doing one of those, you know, places. He wanted to go beyond that. When he started creating original characters for In Living Color, that's when he really went through the roof. You know, the firefighter and all those kind of characters that he created. So, and same thing with Jonathan Winters. You know, Winters created new characters. So it's interesting. They went from
Rich Little.
Yeah, Rich Little.
Rich Little.
Yeah. He's still with us. Rich Little's still with us. He's still good. He still does good impressions.
His big thing was Carson.
Oh, yeah.
You know, yeah.
And he did a great job in Carson, yeah. And John Biner's still with us, and John Biner did a very good, I think he did an Ed Sullivan, didn't he, John Biner? John Biner did everybody, actually.
He did a good Sullivan, because he did the exaggeration. Did he do
Bob Hope? Did he do Bob Hope? Bob Hope, and yeah.
He played around.
He did Bob Hope, and yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of
John
there's not many
Yeah.
there's not many great impressionists out there. There's a lot of people that do Trump now, but you don't have those impressionists like you used to have.
Not like,
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know why. You just don't have them. But whatever.
Well, the personalities was. What's up, Ronnie?
Well,
Ronnie Lee, welcome to the show. Good to see you, Ronnie. No,
I mean, also, I think actors in the old days were very, they had things that you could imitate, like, Humphrey Bogart had this, and they all had little, Jimmy Cat, they all had little things that they did consistently from movie to movie. And most of the stars today are all like character actors. They do different things and there's some things there, like Jack Nicholson is almost the old school, you know what I mean? So you could do an impression of him, or De Niro to some degree, but the guys like Brando and stuff, people don't act the same way. You know what I mean? They don't have those characteristics or consistent characteristics that people can imitate. They're all a little different. Although, who's the popular one all the time that people do? I forget his name, but there's a few people that people do all the time.
Karen says, she says, people would like to do Trump. Karen is trying to be funny, yeah. Like that, huh? But yeah.
I'm getting a little tired of Trump in many ways.
He's trying to squeeze a third term out, and he doesn't want to go anywhere. What's he gonna? Where's he gonna go?
I don't know.
How do you feel about this election?
It's a little crazy
in New York.
It's a little crazy. I'm not crazy about anybody. Let's put it that way. But it's going to be very hard on November 4th for me. I hope everything works out. It's a very strange time. I'm very happy that I'm in the comedy field where I can go out there and make people laugh and have a good time, because I think we need comic relief more than anything. We need comic relief. I mean, it's a crazy time out there, isn't it? Crazy time right now.
It's crazy. It is crazy. When was the last time you were at the Friars Club?
Well, I was there towards the end. I mean, unfortunately, they padlocked the door. Although last night a bunch of Friars got together at Patsy's, the Italian restaurant. I was at a rehearsal, so I couldn't attend it, but they're trying to bring it back, but I don't know. I mean, it's unfortunate. But then again, like when I was at the Friars Club, Jerry Lewis was there all the time. And, you had all those people that were there, and a lot of them have passed on. Rickles passed. I mean, I'm very grateful to the Friars Club because I hung with Jerry Lewis.
Alan King? Alan King a friar?
Yeah, Alan King was a very big friar. He was what they called an abbot, and Jerry Lewis became an abbot. And Alan King actually cast me in the first Toyota Comedy Festival. They had a competition, and he ran that. I didn't hang with Alan King because I wasn't a friar at that time. I should have been, because there were more people alive at that time. But Alan King. But Richard Belzer was there all the time. Robert Klein, who's a great guy. I'm friends with him. He's still with us. He's around.
I like Robert Klein. He's funny.
But a lot of those guys are gone, unfortunately. Time marches on.
Did you meet Rickles there?
I met Rickles at a Don. It was a Don Rickles. They used to have roasts and they used to have toasts. And I met Rickles at a Don Rickles toast, and he was very nice man. I met Joan
Nothing
Rivers.
like his.
No. Rickles was very nice. He said to me, "You enjoy doing comedy?" I think Jeffrey Ross introduced me to him. Does he enjoy doing comedy? I says, "Yes, I do." And he says, "Well, then you'll always be a success. If you enjoy it, you'll always be a success. Just keep doing it." That's what he said to me. Nice thing, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's always.
And Joan Rivers said some nice things. Joan Rivers was very nice. A lot of them were very nice people, and the others, I was very lucky.
You see that special? They have a special on Amazon. On Amazon, with Joan Rickles, the amazing, what's the name, Miss Minifield. I think it's like Joan Rickles, like back when she first came up.
Oh, you mean the marvelous Mrs.
With
Maisel?
Lenny
Yeah, it's that type of It's not.
Mrs.
It's not. Yeah, it's not really. I mean, I think there are other people it's kind of based on because there were people before Joan Rivers, but it's like that style. Yeah. Yeah, no, it was
very funny.
No, she was really one of the greats. The only thing I could say when I met her, she had so much plastic surgery, that her face looked like a mask. You know what I mean? Like I saw her eyes. It seemed like everything was solid here. Like a mask. Like her face was a mask. She had way too much. You remember her towards the end? Way too much. I mean, her face was frozen. And I think
it's a shame. That's how she died on the table, right?
Yeah, she was getting some procedure done, and very sad, very unnecessary. Well, you hear of things of people getting liposuction or in their butt reduced or something like that, and they die on the table. It's a terrible thing. I mean, something like that. But I think a lot of those procedures are done in small places, in doctors' offices, and you got to be in a hospital sometimes. You know what I mean? Because these people can't. They don't have the equipment. They don't have the help to resuscitate you and save your life. It's sad. It's sad. I'm never going to get cosmetic surgery. Gosh darn. George, you've had some Botox, haven't you?
Hey, for me?
Yeah, you've had some Botox.
I need it.
You had some breast reduction, didn't you, George? And
I had that. Yeah, well, you remember. I thought you forgot that. But yeah.
And you had a additional booty applied. Didn't you get a booty extension? Didn't you get a booty extension?
And the penile implant, all that.
Oh, yeah, I had to get a penile reduction. Some of us have to get a penile reduction. Yes. Yes, it was.
Flip Wilson
like
had
a kickstand. It was like a kickstand where I rolled over in bed. I couldn't roll over because it was like a bicycle, kickstand. So I had to get a.
You know what you got to say after that, right? I'll tell you this. It's like a kickstand. I'll tell you this. You can't just leave it there. I'll tell you this.
No,
Rickles was great with that. I'll tell you this. I used to love that. I used to wait for that. Yeah. I started. I did that. I started.
Another thing. And another thing.
Yeah. But that's when you're standing up and you're working in the crowd. I'll tell you this. Did you see that thing that he did with the inauguration of Reagan?
Oh yes.
And Webster introduced him.
Yes, that's on YouTube.
He worked that. I'll tell you this. You know how many I tell you this he had after every line almost, but the timing was Soupy Sales, right?
Soupy was great.
His timing. I didn't know Soupy did stand up.
Yeah.
The agents told me, don't say anything to him. Don't say no, he's bitter. He's a bitter man. Yeah. Stay out of it. Soupy, this, that, and the third. Yeah. Like you say with Mr. Rickles, what a sweetheart. He told me, he goes, people think I'm bitter. He goes, I bet you they told you to stay away from me. Don't say no. I said, yeah, they did. He said, listen, you know what it is? I'm Soupy fucking Sales. That's what he said to me. He says, that's what he said. I'll work out of the trunk of a car if they pay me. He said, people, I demand certain things. I deserve certain things. That's what he said. So they don't want to provide because he's at the end of his career. Right. He's been through it all. He's still getting 2 G's a night where we were at on the South Shore, on all of it. Beautiful place, beautiful restaurant. But they still give them 2 G's a night. But for him, that's nothing.
Right.
But he's saying these people to come get. He's going in. He's complaining about management. He said, "Don't. It's not you." He says, I'm okay with you, or I don't even really know you, that kind of. So we talk. So I understood where he was coming from.
Yeah.
You know, but I worked with Frank at the same place. Frank was came out. Yeah, he was another one. That's another one they told me to stay away from. But he was incredible. He was like, yeah, and we actually had a little relationship kind of thing. He came to see me at one of my shows, the one in New Haven, Connecticut, at Joker's Wow. Gorshin walks through the room. The owner went crazy. Wise guy. He goes, "Oh, you got to introduce me to Frank. Oh, this, that, and beautiful guy." But yeah, Bob, I don't want to. We'll have part 2 of this. We'll go back down memory lane.
Go on forever. You know, I did play Joker's
let me know.
I'm trying to remember. The memories are flood. Yeah, we'll have to do a part 2. Yes, the memories come back.
Crown Street. They had the theater around the corner. I opened for Sinbad around there. 2,700 seats, and I went around there. I met Joe Rogan there. Rogan, before he got the Fear Factor and all the other stuff, he was there with Ronnie Wilkins. I had just met Ronnie. Ronnie was at Stand-Up New York, holding court with Chris Rock.
Yeah,
I come around with Sinbad, but I didn't understand, about politics, the game, the kids, schmoozing and all that. I could have told Sinbad, come around the corner, that kind of, but I didn't do it. But that's neither here nor there. And Joe Rogan was a funny guy. He is a funny guy.
Oh, he is.
You know who Carlos Mencia is, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Carlos Mencia? Yeah. He went up on stage and snatched the mic from him. They almost, went at it on stage. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
Rogan just didn't respect anybody that, was a thief. They said Robin Williams was a thief. They said this one, Richard Bell, did the joke and stuff. And Roberts, it's a whole story. We'll do part 2. I don't want to go on and on and on.
Are we still on the air? Are people still watching us? I can't tell. That's right.
Yeah, we got people, but we get a lot on the back end. But they're hanging in with us, but that's all good. We don't want to hold them hostage and beat them over the head.
Always leave them laughing. Thank you,
Always
George.
leave them laughing, brother. God bless you, and thank you.
God bless
Have a good night.
Be well.
Yes, sir.
Bye, folks.
You as well. Thank you. As Bobberg. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Bobby. Yeah, we did. Comedians get together after a while, and you have history. You go down memory lane, and just one story after another rehashing. Bobby's funny. He's a funny guy. To get those gigs in Howard Beach and all over and stuff like that, and to still stay busy, still stay relevant, and he's got an acting career. As I said, he has history. He has chops. And I want to thank you guys for hanging in there with me. Cameron, Craig, everybody. Kim, I don't want to just start going on and forget people. My partner, Eddie Prather, Eddie P. God bless you, my friend, my brother, Ray Merriman. It's always good to see old friends, old people, and it's all good like that. Alexa, music. So
Amazon Music.
I want to thank you. Have a good. Tell your loved ones that you love them. Let them know. Always keep God first. All right, and do the right thing. You can't. I forgot my closing line. It's such messed up, right? Resistance overcomes. Persistence overcomes resistance I'm tired. Persistence overcomes resistance all the time. Call your loved ones, let them know you love them, hug them, and do the right thing. Stay safe. Peace. Yes, indeed. Bob Greenberg. Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate you, brother.